So here's my story. I had bought a bunch of expensive lures and I was too scared to use them because I was too scared to lose them. Therefore, I decided to build a diorama to display those expensive lures in. After all, these lures are little pieces of artwork. Some of them are from Japan. This is what you see here, and this is the photo that some of you saw on my Facebook page. By the way, thanks again for all the wonderful comments. Well, unfortunately, I never took enough photos and videos to show anyone the construction process. I have a few here, and you might be able to kind of get the idea. A lot of it is just using your imagination and what little creativity I had. But I had already made plans to build 3 more dioramas. One for my Angry Bird lures, another for my advertisement lures, and one for my vintage fishing lures. So let's do this, and this time I'll show you how I did it. Dioramas for my fishing lures. This is part 1 of 3 parts. I already had a base for the big one, but I needed a base for the 2 smaller ones. So I made a little template, and I got this board from Lowe's. I, of course, transferred my template to the board and just used a jigsaw to cut out the pieces. Got one down. I need to work on the next one. Alright, looks like that one's done. And I'm saving these bits and pieces. You never know, I might be able to use them for later. Yep, time to go shopping. First to my, I guess, my 3rd or 2nd favorite place to go for my crafting projects. Inside Hobby Lobby, they sell this really heavy-duty matte board. I need it heavy-duty, I need it strong, because I need it 2 layers thick for the backdrop. So I bought some black ones. It doesn't really matter because I'm going to be, oh, fishing pole. I'm going to use that for an idea for a slingshot for the Angry Birds. But I started looking around, I saw all these fluorescent paints. So I picked some up, you know, just to experiment with. And I'll show you what I use this tacky stuff for later. Next door was Walmart. I mainly wanted to see what they had in their aquarium area as far as plants and stuff that I could use. And I saw some glow-in-the-dark stuff, and I started getting some ideas about the Angry Bird diorama. You know, I try to make it kind of psychedelic with all these glow-in-the-dark stuff. And of course, while I'm there, pick up more silicone glue. And I found they had some glow paint, so I picked some of that up. Next door was Petco, so I wanted to see what they had. And here I bought some gravel. And it doesn't look like these betas are too happy, but really wasn't here for them. I wanted to look around at their aquarium plants and see if there was anything I could use, and I did find some stuff. I found this old ancient Roman Greek architecture thinking about like a puzzle piece now for the Angry Birds. PetSmart was a little bit further down, so I checked out their stuff. First thing I noticed was the backdrops, mainly for, you know, for your aquarium, but of course I'm going to use it for my backdrop. So I think I found something, and found some more old Greek Roman architecture stuff again. Now these pieces I could probably use in the other two dioramas. Yep, getting some ideas here. And I looked at their plants too, and I did buy some of them. I guess this is my first favorite store, Lowe's. Of course, while I was in there, I got more glue because I'm going to be needing lots and lots of glue. And I'm stocking up on silicone glue again too. And this is where I bought my base, or the board for my base. And I think I'm going to be buying some more clamps. What do you think? Then I went to H-E-B because I remember they had some really big thumbtacks that I could use to hammer the backdrop in place of the baseboard while the glue is drying. Oh yeah, so let's meet the stars of the show here. These are the Angry Bird lures. And believe it or not, if you get on YouTube, you'll find people fishing with them and actually catching fish. So there's some kind of crankbait here. I don't really remember the names of all these guys or what they did or do in the game. I haven't played it in a long time. This is a lipless crankbait. Small little crankbait. Another lipless. And a topwater. I know these are the bad piggies. I remember that much. Yep, guys, I did see the movie, and guess what? I liked it. Yep, I liked it. Alright, so now I'm using my creativity and trying to come up with an arrangement for these critters and all these ancient architecture pieces. And looking at my glow-in-the-dark paints and sand, glow-in-the-dark sand. I'll show you what I did with that later. That I tested out with the black light. Looks pretty cool, huh? I'm liking it. I think it's going to look good. So now we got to prepare the backdrop. Remember, this is heavy-duty mat board. So the first thing I did was cut it to the height I wanted it. Once I had all those pieces, I had to like roll it up into a cylinder and then clamp it together. This way it'll kind of have like some memory to keep its curve, and you'll see why later. And now I'm going to be playing around with these paints again, but this time I'm going to apply them to the replica fish that are going to be swimming around the Angry Birds. And of course, I'm going to be applying some of that paint to the Angry Bird lures themselves. And the light testing is looking good. So here's kind of how I have it arranged. Of course, the back piggy is going to be hiding in the architecture, and I took a picture of it all so I can refer back to it later. Now this is the fun part. It's actually kind of tough. Thank God the board keeps its curve, and all I'm doing is gluing it to the edges of the back of the base with silicone glue. And I'm hammering in these big thick thumbtacks that I got over at HEB. That's just one layer. Oh yeah, better tank up on some coffee and keep going on this project, right? But remember Jackson Pollock, I talked about him earlier. He makes these paintings, he just splatters paint all over it and calls them art and makes lots of money. Well, I gotta do the same thing with the glue, to glue another layer of mat board to it to increase its strength. But no one's gonna pay me for my glue art, that's for sure. Then I'm just holding everything together with lots of clamps and string. And then in the back there you can see where I hammered in those big heavy duty thumbtacks again. I did it with, I used this process for all three dioramas. And time to let them dry. Of course, after that, it's time to apply the primer, and I'm just using Kills here. And this video is getting a little bit long, so I'm going to cut it here, and then we'll start out with part 2. And so stay tuned for